During our visit of Riot Games, which happened at the beginning of this month, outside of just checking out the Spirit Blossom stuff, which included the new ARMs and all kinds of other new features, yet to be shown, we also got a chance to do something really cool. The morning everyone would leave and fly home, only hours before all the flights, Riot set up a little play area at our hotel. And there, we all got a chance to play Riftbound, which is the new physical card game that Riot has been working on. Now, of course, ever since this game was revealed, everyone thought the same question. Did Legends of Runeterra get ditched? Well, we very quickly learned no. But immediately after that, people also asked, which card game is better? Now, ignoring the fact that one is purely digital and the other one is purely physical, meaning that they don't really compete with each other on the same market, it is still something that I would like to answer today. And so, let's dive into this hot topic. You see, after our play session in LA was over, everyone got a chance to grab one deck. But because I was there with my brother, it technically means we got two decks, so we can play at home. Now, I picked Victor because I like Victor, with the other deck we got being Jinx. Now, these should be the same decks that Riot will be giving to all the play areas around the world so that people get a chance to learn the game. Now, people know that I am a bit of a crazy League of Legends collector. I do own a lot of crazy League items. I mean, here's the original pentakill guitar that the first album was recorded on. That's a story for another day. But more importantly, after getting this deck, everyone will be thinking, don't open it, one day it will have a huge value. Well, to be fair, it's only gonna have value if you're planning on reselling it. And so this is what Riftbound is all about. Remember how when they first previewed the game, the cards had actually different card backs and we had no idea what's going on? Well, now we understand what all of this is. See, the white backs are actually energies. Now it makes sense, they have to stand apart so they can draw them. The blue cards should be all your standard units and spells, stuff like that. With the black cards being battlefields as well as the champion abilities. So there, mystery solved. Which leads us to one of the biggest differences between Legends of Runeterra and Riftbound, which might actually be the key to its success. Riftbound is set up to be incredibly easy, which may sound like a bad thing, but there are actually a lot of things that keep the rules interesting. Now, one reason why this is a massive benefit is that people can learn this game in about 10 minutes. How do I know this? Well, I am people. I have never played a physical TCG before. I did collect some Pokemon and Magic cards for fun. In fact, we recently found our old album and there are some high-value cards apparently. And so, with my experience being casual Hearthstone and very casual Legends of Runeterra, in about 10 minutes we could play the game at full pace. What's even crazier is that we played with someone who has never played a TCG at all, and they got it in about 30 minutes. This is huge because when you are sitting down to play a board game or something like that, you don't want to spend a lot of time just talking about the rules. So Riftbound has all of that covered. In fact, this might be something that hurt Legends of Runeterra a little bit at the very beginning. In case you don't know, originally Legends of Runeterra was supposed to launch together with Hearthstone. But after Hearthstone was announced, Riot decided to wait a little bit to refine it. This means that they went away from the simplistic turn-based combat and they gave it a lot more strategic spice. But that strategic spice also pushed away some of the most casual players. And it turns out, for a big audience to be part of your game, you also need the casual players. And so already, Riftbound has a slight lead. To give this a bit more context, let's quickly break down the gameplay so you know how the mechanics work. The game starts just like any other. You draw your starting hand, you put down some energies, called runes, and you pay the cost of a card which is on the top left to put it on your board exhausted. Which means you wait until the next round until you can play them. Sometimes next to the cost on top left you can also see the little runes. Those mean that after paying the runes you also have to recycle them, which means you burn them, with the power of the cards being on the other side. And there you can notice it is only a single number. This means that this game is using a single number for both the attack and the health. Once again, all of this is done for simplicity. Of course, there are also spells, two kinds in fact. There are the normal spells which you can cast during your turn, and there are the quick spells which you can cast during your opponent's turn to interrupt them. There are also the gear cards which function like passive abilities, but sometimes some decks can also have the token cards. These are special cards that can change how the game behaves. For example, Victor has all of his arcane zombies. It's funny that here they are just called recruits, with Victor's main mechanic being all about summoning loads of these zombies. So sometimes you have these special cards just sitting on the side waiting to change the game. And speaking of changing the game, this is where things get interesting. In Riftbound, you don't win the game by attacking a nexus or the opponent, just like in something like Magic. Instead, you score points by fighting for battlefields. And this is where slight roguelike mechanics kick in. You see, every deck has a number of its own battlefields. Usually these battlefields play into the playstyle of your decks. And all of these battlefields change how the players play the game. After everyone has chosen what battlefields they want to play with, one is randomly discarded and all the other battlefields become part of the game. The reason these are so special is because sometimes when you stay on a battlefield, you summon one of Victor's zombies, regardless of what player you are. Or sometimes the battlefield makes you discard and draw a card. Sometimes it may burn your runes while you are standing there. And so the cool thing is, because these are semi-randomized, they behave like a roguelike mechanic. Because the point is, you get points by conquering these battlefields, meaning that you put your units onto that battlefield, or by holding the battlefield, meaning that it is your turn again and no one managed to remove your units from that battlefield. The way you remove other units from a battlefield is very simple. You look at the powers. If your power is bigger than theirs, you defeat them. It is all for simplicity. The final twist being that you can only do this up to 7 points, but you win at 8. To get the final point, you either have to conquer all the battlefields in the same turn, or you have to hold a certain number of them depending on how many players play. Now again, because these battlefields can have a variety of effects, it already plays into heavy replayability. On top of this, all the champions also have their champion abilities, but no one says that the one champion only has to have that one ability, so it is possible that Riot can make more ability cards for the champions, meaning that in between games you can decide what passive ability you wanna play with. So again, the game is set up so you can alter the games yourselves. And so all together, even though the rules of this game are very simple, all the mechanics make it very interesting. On top of which, all the games are very quick. They should be about 10 to 15 minutes. And it is all further sped up by stuff like no shuffling. That's right, as far as I'm aware, there is no shuffling in this game, so you will never pause, you just play. But even though, from a personal experience, I've had a blast, the crazy thing is, I'm not the only one by far. There are so many other creators who instantly got hooked by this game even though they've never played card games before. Tyler was there for the same event and he also got hooked despite not playing card games before. In fact, he already got into a heated moment. He really liked the game.
You're selfish because you'd rather he win and not me. No. You're talking about yourself. You're talking about yourself.
I had a whole last round.
Yo no tenía nada, nothing.
And then you have others such as Travis, who made an entire dedicated channel to Riftbound. And of course, there are a bunch of other websites who are now committed into this game. Which brings us to one more interesting point. You see, unlike what happened with Legends of Runeterra, this game is a physical TCG, and so the monetization is all about collecting the cards. But because the cards are what keeps this game fair, Riot wants to limit how much power you really have to look for in the card packs. And so getting your desired cards should be relatively easy. Which means, to keep the monetization afloat, they are introducing a new kind of rarity. You see, most of the more interesting cards will have an alternative art. So for example, champions will have a special version of the art, which is just a skin for the champion. With these special versions also automatically getting a foil. For some other cards, such as the runes, the alternative art might be just a really cool version of the rune. But outside of just making rare versions of the cards with a special art, Riot also thought of the whales. After all, we live in an era where whales fund all the games. And so while the cards are normally numbered, in extremely rare cases, you may find a champion that is overnumbered. You will know that it is a rare card because it will have a hexagonal gem at the bottom. It should also automatically be a foiled version of the card, but more importantly, these special cards will also have the signature of the artist who made the card. These are going to be the chase cards which the heavy collectors will go after. And what's awesome is that Riot won't show us what these special arts look like until they are found in the wild. It is only after they were confirmed to be found that Riot will update the art on their official website. The sad part is that this game will first launch in China, so we will get spoiled on all of it. But that's what my experience with Riftbound was all about. A really neat thing to mention is that you can play in up to 4 players, meaning that it doesn't matter if you have 2, 3 or 4 people. Just not having to look for the 4th player if you have only 3 is awesome. And potentially, there was the tease that Riot is working on some kind of a solo mode, and there might potentially be a proper 5v5 battle. But all of that was only teased so far, so we'll see what happens. But yes, it is simply an incredibly well-made game. And it is already hooking a lot of people. Again, I've only seen positivity around this game so far, which is a crazy thing to say after there was a lot of negativity regarding the card art when the cards were pale. But this also means one thing. Should this card game be successful, the civil war of the fan bases around Riot Games, specifically around Legends of Runeterra, are gonna be wild.